Traditionally, people look at a funeral as something that is meant to be sad. But what Papa would have wanted was for this to be a moment that we celebrated the amazing long life that Papa did have. If it were up to Papa, today wouldn't be about tears, but rather not about living a life without him, but instead about being joyous and smiling and laughing, about the love and the amazing memories we've gotten to share with him over the last, no one really knows, maybe 92, 93 years, 94 almost. Most people aren't lucky enough to stand in front of their families at 30 saying goodbye to their Papa. Not everybody has the relationship with their parents that my mom has with hers. The most pure kind of love you could ever ask for. So Mom, I know today is hard, but just remember all the things that Papa has taught you and instilled in you. Cherish the memories. My first memory of my Papa is at a Shelter to Shabbat in kindergarten. I just remember the pride I had that I could always count on Papa and Grandma Judy to be there, always. My grandparents came into New Jersey every weekend of my entire childhood. Every Saturday driving in from Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn in their Camry. I remember running outside to greet them week after week, excited for my grandma to make us challah French toast while my Papa would sneak me orange Tic Tacs from his short-sleeved button-down shirt being weighed down by what seemed like 20 pence. While he never let me forget that I was his only and favorite granddaughter, he wasn't just my Papa. Papa was so many things to so many people. A husband of 70 plus years to my Grandma Judy, a father to my mom Joni, a grandpa who stood on the sidelines of the soccer fields for decades of mine and my brother's lives, and a great-grandfather who always shared his cane to Mila, Maverick, Hudson, and Aiden. A cousin, an uncle, and a friend. Papa wore many hats. In the years before this large family of ours came along, he was a taxi driver, a bread delivery guy. He worked at my dad's pick and pack warehouse. He was a Home Depot associate, a Mets fan, and of course, he will always be the World War II vet that never let you forget it. If you knew Papa, you knew he wasn't a man of many words. But the minute Grandma Judy, aka Gigi, my mom, Joni, his grandkids or grandkids were around, his smile, dentures and all, lit up the room. Papa was also a stock enthusiast. He loved to chat with Jared about his stocks. Yet at 92, he was still a computer novice. Literally, he had all of his passwords on an index card taped next to the computer. He loved puzzles and Carvel ice cream, White Castle, and was an avid reader. If only Louis Lamar would write more books. While we'll miss all of those things, thankfully, Grandma, you won't have to listen to Fox News anymore. When Papa wanted something, there was little ways in convincing him otherwise. A perfect example is how Papa needed 3 Splendas with every single coffee. He always wore New Balances, 7 for All Mankind jeans circa 2010, a button-down, and an undershirt. This was my Papa, and he'll be with us forever. Jared and I will rock New Balances in your memory, and you can be sure to find Mikey in an undershirt, just like Papa. While I may not like sugar in my coffee, prefer In-N-Out to White Castle and Burger King, and definitely will forever be a Yankees fan, my Papa is with me every day forevermore. Our genes are strong, and so he is with me in my hands and my feet. Literally, I have those Resnick nails. And that Jewish Ashkenazi, Jewish Eastern European skin. I have his sense of humor too. Every time Papa saw me in ripped jeans, he'd ask, "Did you pay full price for those?" Cracking himself up after. So even when no one thinks my jokes are funny but myself, I know he'd think they're funny too. So for every joke, every hamburger, every new freckle I get, Papa, I love you that much more. For every freckle, forevermore.
Beautiful.
I feel pretty darn blessed to have spent so much time with Papa Bob. 44 and a half quality years to be exact. And he was definitely not an absent grandpa. Bob was extremely engaged with all of our lives. And it didn't matter what stage of life we were in. They, Bob and Judy, must have been in Marlboro 40 weekends each year. And they only missed 12 because we were at sleepaway camp or actually vacationing together in Cape Cod or on trips to exotic places like Hershey Park. He and I spent hundreds of hours traveling together to soccer games throughout New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, and even Florida. This is before cell phones, unless you were Mark Messinger. This is before Garmin's, this is before Google, and before MapQuest. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of times we found ourselves lost, getting off at the wrong exit, going in the opposite direction on the parkway or the turnpike. My nervous energy probably making people in the cars next to us uncomfortable. He would always tell me, Jared, we're not lost, we're just temporarily displaced. Of course, we would eventually find our way to the soccer fields. We spent several summers working together, and admittedly, I use this word working very lightly, in a Newark, New Jersey warehouse. We would share a cup of coffee and buttered bread every morning from the local corner store. We would have lunch from time to time at the local diner where he introduced me to steak and eggs. My papa was there for every major event. He was there for every single school function. He was there for my one and only extremely off-Broadway show of Fiddler on the Roof. Side note, I didn't even have a character role, but rather the master of ceremonies. He still beamed on me with his smile and made me feel important and loved. He was there for Sunday breakfasts. He was there at every camp visiting day, holding boxes and boxes of unhealthy candy that would be taken away as soon as they left. And he single-handedly kept Toys R Us in business. He was there at bar mitzvahs and weddings. Gabby and I share a wedding anniversary within a day of his birthday. Later in life, the greatest gift was Bob being in Arizona and living 4 minutes from my house. We shared afternoon cups of coffee. We shared bowls of soup and cups of Jell-O made by Grandma. My kids and I would pop over for dinner at their house or even an after-school snack. His face would light up with joy upon our entrance. They could do a puzzle with him, play computer games, watch him read a book, and be subjected to a whole bunch of Fox News the entire time. We were able to watch and attend some spring training baseball games and eat ballpark hot dogs loaded with kraut and mustard. It was here that he would drink his one beer for the year. We also went to a handful of New York Mets versus Diamondback games. My personal favorite moments at these games had nothing to do with the baseball itself. Obviously, I'm a soccer guy. But rather, when the ballpark announcer would ask all veterans in the stadium to stand up for recognition and applause. This pleased Bob more than anyone could imagine, and it always made me so very proud. Whether in a ballpark or outside a ballpark, people would constantly come up to Bob and thank him for his service. He would show anyone that would listen and look a black and white grainy picture of him standing next to an airplane in Japan. He would fix the radio boxes in the cockpit of these planes during the occupation. Also in his wallet at all times was a picture of him and his buddy Walter from their service days. Seeing the respect people give to World War II veterans has given me a tremendous appreciation for their sacrifice and my freedom. For years now, whenever we see a military man or woman in uniform, we, Maverick, Mila, and myself, make certain to thank them and tell them we have a grandpa, or in their case, a great-grandpa, that served in World War II. In October of 2015, Bob and I had the opportunity to share an incredible weekend together in Washington, D.C. It was a program called the Honor Flight. This is where veterans across the country are flown to Washington and bused together to the many memorial sites the city has to offer. The Washington Monument, the Vietnam Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, Arlington National Cemetery, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and of course the World War II Memorial. It was here on this trip that I watched Bob's joy and sorrow yo-yo up and down throughout the weekend. Following this trip, he told me it was one of the best weekends of his life. Papa, if I've never told you this before, it was also one of my best. We're going to miss these moments with you, but I'm forever grateful to have these memories. Thank you, Papa, for simply being you and for sharing your true self with me. I know you are not lost, just temporarily displaced, and hopefully en route to Heaven's Diner to meet your mother and your father, Joe and Anna, your brothers Stanley and Bernie, your sister Lillian, and your buddy Walter, and of course Uncle Dave and Aunt Elaine. I will miss you, and I love you forever.
thou who governest all things with infinite wisdom and mercy, and guidest the destinies of mankind. Father, dost thou love us and show us thy blessings upon us. Therefore we shall not murmur even when sorrow befalls us, but with humility and falter trust accept thy decree. We remember that we are but strangers to this planet, and like a shadow our life is fleeing away. Help us, O God, to walk in thy sight, that with a few years of our earthly privilege ended, we may be ready to meet our end with a tranquil mind. To thee we look for comfort and strength in one of our beloveds taken from us, and the link is broken, a chain of love that binds us all together. Where we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we fear no evil without with us. Praying to eternal our God, love and dispensation, and sanctify thy name. Amen. El Mole Rakamin Shofe Bam Romin, Same the Pana Panataka Kateshina, Pamalam Rishim and Arkia, Masiri Ben Kushma Ruben, and Yosef Malay Shalom Lord of mercy, bring him into your presence, and let his soul be bound with bond of eternal life. Be thou his possession, and may his repose be peace. May that repose be peace. Amen. Amen. Mourner's Cottage. Yiskadal, Yiskadash, Kamerabal, the Allah, Divara, Yusei, the Amrit, Mafusei, Bakayekon, the Yomekon, Bakayek, the Call Base Israel, Allah, the Sman Amen. Yeshua Rabba Barak Rabba Rabba Almaya Isbarach Istabach Isbahar Isroman Isnase Isadar Isalem Isalam Shmei Kudushabu Leilam and Palmir Pasal Ishrasa Tushkafasa Benefasa Dabiram Yallah Yudu Amen Yeshua Rabba Mishmaya Zakayim Malay Bakwa Israel Yudu Amen Oseh Shalom Yimramam There is a tradition in Judaism of putting earth on the gravesite. The rabbis refer to this as doing chesed shel emet, literally translated to if, as I said before, if you think about language, I find it a fascinating expression, because if you're going to do a favor for someone, and that is kindness, why do you have to put the word emet true in front of it? The rabbis answer their own question. You might know it from your own experiences in life, at least I do. Whenever I ask anybody for a favor, invariably they remind me that they did a favor for me, now I owe them a favor. That's how life works. But where we are now is if you're doing a favor, such as putting earth on the gravesite, you can't expect anything in return. And that's why it's a special category of chesed shel emet, the deep, true loving kindness. What we're going to do is we're going to allow the mourners to put earth on first. And if you can help me with this, I need us to form two lines that are parallel to each other, maybe going in this direction. The mourners will be walking in between. So maybe some of you on the right and some of you on the left. The mourners will walk in between once they finish, and anybody else who wishes to put earth on will do so. Traditionally, you don't hand the shovel to the next person, you return it to the earth. I'm not sure which way is the easiest way to do it.
Congratulations.